money, 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 money. For that money, 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 money. That money, 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 money. Niggas turn on their brother. For that money, 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 money. That money, 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 money.
Welcome back to the Anecdote podcast with your hosts Ian Knowles and Mickey Brown.
Top of the morning.
And we're coming at you with another bite-sized episode based off of how do I go about buying a car? And we can cut your choices in half right off the bat, because are we going new versus used?
So, a car loses half of its price in the first 3 to 4 years, even if you don't put any miles on it. Because here's the thing, price is what you pay and value is what you get. So, the second a car's been driven off its lot, it lost 10% of its price, but it didn't lose 10% of its value. Then, in 3 to 4 years, it's losing an additional half of its price. But has it lost half of its value? No, not even close. The data on reliability shows that even crappy cars by today's standards can easily make it to 200,000 miles. Those cars that are getting the low reliability ratings from Consumer Reports, they're still good for 200,000 freaking miles. They're only unreliable relative to other cars by today's standards. And yes, despite what the memes are from the old timers, the data overwhelmingly shows today's cars are a lot more reliable.
You're saying used is the way to go.
Yeah, well, again, if it's 3 to 4 years old, it's lost half of its price. Has it lost half of its value? Well, if its value is the distance that it can carry you, then in order to have lost half of its value on a good car that can make it 300,000 miles, it would have to have 150,000 miles on it. But your average American is usually doing less than 10,000 miles a year, which means that a 3-year-old car should have around 30,000 miles and a 4-year-old car should have around 40,000 miles. Now, when you're shopping for a used car, you can easily find that one that has below average mileage. So you can find a 4-year-old car that only has 30,000 or maybe even 20,000. If you want to go older than that, you could find a 10-year-old car that doesn't have 100,000 miles on it. It's only got 50,000, or 60. 60s are pretty easy to find.
And now we have it established that we're going to get used. We're going to get a few years older at least. So which brands?
Okay, so for this, I went ahead and looked at 2 sources. One was Consumer Reports, and then the other one was J.D. Power. With J.D. Power, we can look at the reliability ratings. And then with Consumer Reports, we can look at the average cost of maintenance on old cars. So, on the average cost of maintenance for old vehicles, the Consumer Reports data showed 3-year-old models and 10-year-old models. And this is kind of funny, right? The car that has the lowest average cost of maintenance per year for a 10-year-old vehicle, it's Pontiac.
Wow.
At only $315 a year. Now, there is no data for the 3-year-old Pontiacs.
Because there is no 3-year-old
Yep, there isn't any. So it just says NA.
Yeah.
But this is kind of interesting because if you look at the J.D. Power, Pontiac was rated as the 29th most reliable brand, which is below average.
Yeah.
It's well below average. I think it was like 10 from the bottom. What that means is that Pontiacs aren't reliable cars, but the parts are so damn cheap. It doesn't cost that much to keep the thing maintained. But it might be kind of annoying to have to go to the shop all the time with it. So what's the second and third? Well, to my shock, the second and third for this year anyways was Lincoln and Buick, which is crazy to me. Both of them have an average cost of maintenance on the 10-year-old Buick and Lincolns that's less than $400 a year. So for somewhere between $50 to $80 a year more, you can go from a freaking Pontiac to a Lincoln. I think it's worth the jump.
Yeah.
If you're pinching your pennies that damn tight, I guess go with Pontiac. But if you're not, I think that, hey, an extra $50 a year in maintenance cost to jump from a Pontiac to a Lincoln or a Buick, I think that's worth it. And on the J.D. Power results, the number 1 most reliable brand was Porsche. Well, the average cost to maintain a 10-year-old Porsche was $750 a year. So it's a lot higher.
A little over double.
Yeah. So that means that Porsche is the most reliable brand, but the parts are so expensive that you're still going to be paying more. Also, that's the average annual cost. It doesn't actually mean you're going to be getting hit with $700 every year.
Yeah.
It might be you get hit with absolutely nothing every...
Or $1,500.
Yeah, you might go 3 years without a bill, and then you get hit with an over $2,000 bill that 3rd year. So are you the type of person who is saving enough that you can withstand that? If you're the type of person who's just incapable of saving money for some damn reason, which if you are, I don't even know why you're listening, but if you are, then I guess go with the Pontiac and get nickel-dimed slowly across a year, because I strongly suspect the Pontiac has lots and lots of small problems. Whereas I strongly suspect that the Porsche is almost never a problem, but when you do get hit with it, that's a big bill. But what about the Buick and Lincoln, which had the second and third lowest cost of maintenance? Where did they land on reliability? Well, sure enough, second and third. That means that Lincolns and Buicks, they hit that sweet spot of not only are they the second and third most reliable brand, but they're also the second and third lowest cost of maintenance on those 3 and 10-year-old models. They come ahead of Lexus. They come ahead of Honda. They come ahead of Toyota, the people I always hear about.
Yeah, I'm surprised they beat Honda and Toyota.
When I first saw these results, I was too. Lexus comes in at 4th on reliability. So the Lexus is less reliable than the Buick and Lincoln, at least for those 3 and 10-year-old models. Whereas the cost of maintenance on the Lexus, it's actually pretty near the top. It's $590 a year. That's almost double. Lincoln is $360 a year, and Buick is $410. The most expensive car to maintain was, surprise no one, BMW, followed by Mercedes-Benz, at $1,100 a year and $1,085 a year. So it seems to me that Lincoln and Buick are the easy winners.
So now, what about this extended warranty that you're always hearing about?
Those are worthless. Consider for a second how much money they spend spamming your mailbox trying to get you to buy these extended warranties.
It's just because they care about me and my car.
Why are they spending so much money trying to get you to buy these things? They've done the math. They've worked out the numbers. They know that on average they're winning. You're placing a bet against yourself. A bet that the people selling these warranties feel very, very confident that they're going to win.
And on the issue of insurance, now if you take out a loan or anything like that, which is besides what we're talking about, you're going to have to do full coverage insurance. But we're talking about purchasing your own used car on the cheap. What do we do with insurance here?
These companies, they make billions of dollars a year. They've done the math and they've determined that at these rates, we are going to win most of the time. So the people that insurance is really for is the people who are incapable of savings. In the long run, you're paying so much more than if you just saved enough to buy another one. The best thing to do long term is to just go liability with the highest deductible. And then all that money that you would have been putting towards your insurance, you just save it. That way when that accident does happen, you have the money to pay to fix it, or just flat out buy another one. But that only works if you're actually going to save your savings. If you're going to take your savings and just buy a bunch of dumb bullshit, well then you're going to have that accident, you're going to have those repairs or whatever, and you're going to be screwed.
And the final official question we have for this subject is, what about all-wheel drive?
Okay, so all-wheel drive, the one thing that's important to know about that, the data on that shows if you don't get winter tires, it's pretty much pointless. If you have all-wheel drive plus winter tires, you are going to have more traction, but the gains from all-wheel drive are not as dramatic as the gains from using good winter tires. A front-wheel drive car with winter tires will have better traction than a all-wheel drive car with all-season tires. Obviously, the all-wheel drive car with winter tires is going to do the best.
I'm also wondering how many of our listeners would actually want to take all their tires off and put new ones on.
You just go to a place like Pull Apart or whatever, get them used, just buy 4 extra wheels. And so then you'll have your 4 winter tires on those wheels, and now you're just swapping the wheels. Because taking a tire off of a wheel, man, that's a pain in the ass right there.
So if we do go with these decisions with a Buick or a Lincoln, what are these savings looking like?
Okay, here's some quick examples. This is what if my car were to blow up right now, this is probably what I would go buy.
Actually, I'm going to wait till you get in it before I blow it up. Go on.
Well, I do have an ejection seat. But a Buick LaCrosse, the V6 one, looking at Carfax right now, I'm seeing multiple 2010 models that are only about $9,000. And this one right here, it only has 63,000 miles. And there's a lot that are like that, $9,000 for a car with 60,000 miles. Well, the MSRP on that car was $30,000. So this 2010 car, it's 9 years old. It costs less than 1/3 of what it originally cost, so it's lost 2/3 of its price. Has it lost 2/3 of its value? Well, since it only has 63,000 miles on it,
less than 1/3 of its value.
Yeah, in order to have lost 2/3 of its value, it would have to have 200,000 miles on it. But it only has 63. So it's lost 2/3 of its price, less than 1/3 of its value. Then also, in this other tab, I got Lincoln MKSs off of Carfax. The MSRP on this sucker was $48,000, and right now they're wanting $11,000 for it with 60,000 miles. It's black. It's a 6-cylinder.
Talk about some major savings there.
Yeah, leather seats. This is a nice luxury car, and this is a big one. It's very similar to the last one. $11,000 down from $48,000. It's lost almost 4/5 of its price, and yet it's lost less than 1/3 of its value, the miles. The rate of depreciation on the cars does slow down as they get older. So if you go older than 10 years, you don't see very much of a drop. You're talking
plus 10 years, you're talking
$100.
about amenities and technology.
And that's actually why I was personally looking at the 2012s, because 2012 is about the time when they were coming out with a lot of cool new features.
Bluetooth, built-in GPS.
Yeah, those nice infotainment systems. Then this Lincoln right here, it's got the heated mirrors and the heated seats.
The heated mirrors are nice because it's hard to get into those little nooks and crannies to scrape out that ice, especially if it's thicker.
The trick that I learned to do that is you can just spray some vinegar mixed with water on it in a spray bottle, keep it in your car. But yeah, going up to 2012, we were getting a lot of cool new features. I know that like with a lot of the cars, like my Dodge, that's when they started doing things like the part-time V8 and 8-speed transmission and then a 12-speed transmission, which makes it so that shifting between gears is almost seamless. You can't even feel it. But after that, there's nothing I give a crap about. Certainly nothing that I'm willing to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for.
I want to upload my butt statistics to Facebook
Yeah.
on the pressure of my seat.
Yeah, there's always aftermarket options if there's some cool new gimmick that's out that I want. I just can't think
And you
of
can
anything.
afford them when you're getting a car where you're paying 1/5 of its original value.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's my advice, man. Get a Buick or a Lincoln that's 4 to 10 years old. I would recommend the 10-year-old ones. Find the one with low mileage. You go on Carfax or whatever and sort by lowest price, and then just look for the one that's got the lowest mileage among the ones of the lowest price. Then look at its features and say, does this check off the boxes that I want it to check off? V6 versus 4-cylinder, things like that.
Yeah, my only requirements, and now are power windows, like power everything.
Yeah, that's pretty much standard. I don't know of any cars that have that now.
Now it is, yeah. Like now our 4 to 10-year-old cars are going to have that.
Yeah.
That money, 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 money. For that money, 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 money. That money, 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 money. Niggas turn on their brother. For that money, 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 money. That money, 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 money.